The amber glow of sunset filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Vikram Singhania's penthouse office. At 34, he had built Horizon Technologies from a startup in his garage to one of India's most promising tech companies. The Mumbai skyline stretched before him, a testament to ambition realized through meticulous planning and unyielding control. You can't schedule everything in life like one of your product launches. Beta! His father's voice echoed from the speakerphone. Vikram adjusted his glasses, his jaw tightening. I've agreed to meet the Sharma family tomorrow. That should be enough for now. Enough? You're 34. Your mother worries. The Sharmas are a good family. Their daughter is accomplished. I don't need her resume, Dad. I've already agreed to the meeting. The silence that followed carried decades of unspoken expectations. Vikram had always been the perfect son. Top of his class, prestigious university in America, successful business. But his personal life remained a carefully guarded fortress. Just come with an open mind, his father finally said before hanging up. Vikram loosened his tie and gazed at the city lights beginning to twinkle against the darkening sky. Marriage, the final checkbox on his family's list of appropriate life milestones. He had dodged it successfully until now, burying himself in work, building something that was entirely his own. His assistant, Rohan, knocked gently before entering. Your 7 o'clock with investors is set up in the conference room. Thanks. Any word from the Silicon Valley team about the prototype? They've sent the updated specs and... Rohan hesitated. Your mother called. She's arranged for your outfit for tomorrow's meeting. Vikram sighed. Of course she has. She's excited, sir. Everyone is. Everyone except him. But what was the point in fighting it? An arranged marriage made logical sense. He had no time for dating, and his parents' marriage had been arranged. They seemed content enough. Marriage could be approached like any other business arrangement. Find compatible backgrounds, similar values, mutual benefits. Love was an unpredictable variable he couldn't control. The next evening, Vikram sat stiffly in his parents' living room as the Sharma family made polite conversation. Mrs. Sharma was elegant and well-spoken. Mr. Sharma had an impressive career in banking. Their daughter, Aditi, was conspicuously absent. Aditi sends her apologies, Mrs. Sharma explained. Her flight from London was delayed. She's finishing her PhD in economics there. How modern of you to allow this meeting without her, Vikram's mother said. Though her tone suggested disapproval, Aditi insisted we proceed, Mr. Sharma replied. She trusts our judgment, but she'll be here for the formal engagement next month if we proceed. Vikram barely listened as the parents discussed potential dates, family backgrounds, and horoscope compatibility. He answered questions automatically, played his part perfectly. When shown a photo of Aditi, a serious-looking woman with intelligent eyes, he nodded appropriately. We should let the young people meet before finalizing, his father suggested. Actually, Vikram interjected, surprising everyone. I don't think that's necessary. Her credentials are impressive, our families are compatible. If she agrees based on my information, I see no reason to delay with courtship pretenses. The room fell silent. His mother looked pained, but his father nodded with understanding. The Sharmas exchanged glances. Practical approach, Mr. Sharma finally said. Aditi might appreciate that. Later, as his parents saw the Sharmas out, Vikram's mother confronted him in the kitchen. You didn't even want to meet her first? What if there's no spark? Vikram rinsed his teacup methodically. Spark? I'm not looking for fireworks, Mom. I'm looking for a partnership that makes sense. Marriage is more than a business merger, Beta. Is it? You and Dad seem to have managed well enough. His mother touched his arm, her eyes searching his face for something he'd buried long ago. We grew to love each other. But that growth needs fertile ground, some initial connection. Vikram gently moved her hand away. I'll meet her at the engagement. That's enough time before the wedding to back out if something is fundamentally wrong. As he drove home that night, Mumbai's streets pulsing with life around him, Vikram felt nothing but the calm certainty of a decision efficiently made. Love was unpredictable, messy. This way was cleaner, safer. What he didn't know was that fate had been weaving its threads long before this arrangement, and in 3 weeks' time, Those threads would pull tight around his carefully constructed world. The golden thread. The grand ballroom of the Taj Palace Hotel glittered with 1,000 lights, transforming it into a scene from a fairy tale. Crystalline chandeliers cast prismatic reflections across marble floors, while Mumbai's elite mingled in their finest attire. Vikram stood at the center of it all, a reluctant prince in traditional gold-embroidered sherwani, mechanically accepting congratulations for an engagement he had reduced to a business transaction. "Nervous?" his cousin Nikhil asked, appearing at his side with 2 glasses of sparkling water. "Why would I be nervous? Everything's proceeding according to schedule," Vikram replied, checking his watch. The formal engagement ceremony would begin in exactly 17 minutes. Nikhil shook his head. "Only you would approach your engagement like a quarterly review meeting." The orchestra transitioned to a traditional melody, signaling that the bride's family had arrived. Vikram straightened his posture, preparing for the choreographed meeting that would formally bind him to a woman whose voice he had yet to hear. His parents flanked him as the Sharma family made their entrance. First came extended relatives, then close family, and finally, Mr. and Mrs. Sharma, beaming with pride. And then the crowd parted, Aditi Sharma entered, and Vikram's methodical world tilted on its axis. She wasn't what he expected from the serious photograph. Her midnight blue lehenga shimmered with delicate silver embroidery that caught the light with each graceful step. Her face, partially obscured by the gossamer veil, revealed intelligent eyes that surveyed the room with quiet confidence rather than demure shyness. But it wasn't her beauty that caused Vikram's breath to catch in his throat. It was the thin golden thread bracelet encircling her right wrist, its distinctive pattern unmistakable even from a distance. An intricate knot formed the centerpiece, flanked by 7 small copper beads, a design he knew intimately, impossibly. His grandmother's voice echoed across 15 years of memory. "This thread carries our family's blessing. When you find the one whose destiny is woven with yours, Vikram, this will find its way to them. Trust the thread to know what your heart may be too afraid to recognize, Vikram." His mother's concerned voice broke through his trance. "Are you all right? You've gone pale." He couldn't speak as the Sharma family approached. The formal introductions continued around him while his eyes remained fixed on the bracelet. It couldn't be. And yet, there it was, the exact golden thread his grandmother had pressed into his palm during her final days, the one he had last seen. "It's nice to finally meet you," Aditi said, her voice warm but measured. She extended her hand, the one with the bracelet, and Vikram found himself unable to move. "The pleasure is mine," he finally managed, taking her hand briefly. "That's an unusual bracelet." Something flickered in her eyes. Surprise, perhaps wariness. "Yes, it's special to me." "A good luck charm from long ago." The ceremony proceeded around them. Rings exchanged, photographs taken, blessings given. Vikram moved through it mechanically, his mind racing through distant memories, trying to place when and how his grandmother's golden thread could have found its way to this woman's wrist. During a momentary respite from the celebrations, Vikram found himself alone with Aditi on the terrace overlooking the illuminated gardens. "You've been staring at my bracelet all evening," she stated directly. No accusation in her tone, just calm observation. "Does it bother you?" "No," he replied, finding his composure. "It reminds me of something. Someone important." Aditi touched the golden thread gently. "Someone gave this to me many years ago. It's been a reminder that kindness can appear in unexpected moments." Before Vikram could ask more, they were summoned back to the celebration. But as the evening drew to a close, his carefully constructed certainties had begun to unravel, pulled apart by a simple golden thread that had somehow connected him to this stranger who was now his fiancée. That night, for the first time in years, Vikram dreamed of his grandmother and her cryptic final words. "The thread knows, Beta. It always finds its way home." Memories unearthed. The rain hammered against the windows of Vikram's office, mirroring the turbulence in his mind. 2 weeks had passed since the engagement, and he had thrown himself back into work with even greater intensity. The golden thread bracelet haunted him, but each time he tried to ask Aditi about it during their brief formal phone conversations, the words dissolved on his tongue. "The Singapore investors are waiting in the conference room," Rohan reminded him, concern evident in his voice. "Should I tell them you need a few more minutes?" "No." Vikram straightened his tie. "I'm ready." But he wasn't. During the entire presentation, his mind kept drifting to fragmented memories from 15 years earlier. Grandmother Dottie's weathered hands pressing the golden thread into his palm. Her knowing eyes. "Promise me you'll give this to someone who truly needs its blessing." After the meeting, he canceled his remaining appointments and drove aimlessly through Mumbai's rain-soaked streets until he found himself outside his parents' home in the old neighborhood. The house stood as it always had, a colonial-era bungalow that had witnessed 3 generations of Singhania history. "Beta, what a surprise," his mother exclaimed when he appeared at the door, dripping wet. "Do we still have Dottie's old trunk?" he asked without preamble. "The one with her personal things?" His mother's expression softened with understanding. "In the attic. I'll make chai while you look." The musty attic was a repository of forgotten history. Vikram found the sandalwood trunk in the corner, its brass latches tarnished with age. Inside, carefully preserved in silk, lay his grandmother's treasures, faded photographs, letters, journals bound in cracked leather. He opened the oldest journal with trembling hands, its pages yellowed and fragile. His grandmother's elegant handwriting filled each page with observations, wisdom, and accounts of family history. He flipped through until he found what he was searching for. A small sketch of the golden thread bracelet, and beneath it, words that made his heart constrict. "The thread has been in our family for 7 generations, passed from one who sees to one who needs to see. My grandson carries too much of his father's pragmatism and his mother's caution. The world has convinced him that control brings safety. But the thread knows better. It will find its way to the one who can help him remember what his heart once knew." A pressed flower fell from between the pages, a simple marigold, preserved for decades. Another memory surfaced, the national science competition 15 years ago. Vikram had been 17, already serious and focused on achievement. His project on renewable energy had been favored to win. But then, "I found some albums you might want to see," his mother called from the doorway, carrying a tray of steaming chai and several photo albums. "I thought these might help." They sat cross-legged on the attic floor as rain drummed overhead. His mother opened an album to a specific page, photographs from the science competition. There was teenage Vikram, tall and lanky in his school uniform, standing proudly beside his project. "You were so certain you would win," his mother reminisced. "But then your project malfunctioned during the final presentation." "The solar panel circuit overheated," Vikram murmured, the memory sharpening. "I was devastated." His mother turned the page. "But you did something that day that made your grandmother prouder than any trophy could have." The photograph showed a younger Vikram helping another contestant, a girl whose complex hydroponics system had collapsed minutes before judging. Her face wasn't visible, just the back of her head as Vikram knelt beside her, helping to salvage what they could of her project. "You gave up your chance to fix your own project to help her," his mother said softly. "Do you remember what happened next?" Vikram closed his eyes, the memory rushing back. The girl had been inconsolable, not for the lost chance at winning, but because the project represented months of work addressing water conservation in rural communities. Something about her passion, her genuine concern for others rather than personal glory, had moved him. "I gave her something," he whispered. "Dottie's bracelet. She had given it to me that morning for luck. But you decided this girl needed the luck more than you did," his mother finished. "Your grandmother was watching from the audience. She told me later it was exactly what she had hoped you would do with it." Vikram stared at the photograph, trying to see the girl's face. "Did you ever learn her name?" His mother shook her head. "You never mentioned it. After the competition, you became so focused on university applications, then your studies abroad. That open-hearted boy began to disappear behind spreadsheets and business plans. And now I'm engaged to a woman wearing that same bracelet," Vikram said, the coincidence too profound to be dismissed. Is it truly coincidence? His mother asked, echoing his grandmother's wisdom. Or is it the thread finding its way home? Confronting the past. The gardens of the Sharma family home stretched before Vikram like an oasis of calm in bustling Delhi. He had flown in that morning, ostensibly for a pre-wedding meeting with Aditi's family, but his true purpose rested in the questions that had kept him awake for nights. Aditi appeared on the garden path, dressed in a simple salwar kameez, her hair loose around her shoulders, a stark contrast to the formal image she had presented at their engagement. The golden thread bracelet caught the sunlight as she gestured toward a stone bench beneath a flowering plumeria tree. "Your call surprised me," she said once they were seated. "2 weeks of polite formality, and suddenly you needed to see me urgently." Vikram studied her face, searching for traces of the girl from his memory. "I've been direct about everything else in this arrangement. I should be direct about this, too. Your bracelet, I know exactly what it is and where it came from." Aditi's composure flickered. Her fingers instinctively touched the golden thread. "Impossible. This was given to me at the National Science Competition in Delhi 15 years ago," Vikram finished. "Your hydroponics project collapsed right before judging." Color drained from Aditi's face. "That was you? The boy who—" She trailed off, scrutinizing him with new awareness. "I never saw your face clearly. You were just—" This tall figure who appeared when everything was falling apart. "I gave you my grandmother's bracelet. She had given it to me that morning." Aditi nodded slowly, memories realigning. "You said it was for luck and that I needed it more than you did. I tried to return it after the competition, but you had already left." She gave a small, incredulous laugh. "I've worn it for every important moment since then. University interviews, exam days, my PhD defense. It became my talisman." "And our engagement," Vikram added softly. "Yes." Her eyes met his, searching. "Is that why you agreed to this arrangement without meeting me? Did you somehow know?" "No," he admitted. "I never saw the connection until the engagement ceremony. I agreed because marriage seemed like the next logical step my family expected. Emotions had nothing to do with it." Something like disappointment flickered across her face. "I see. Efficiency over sentiment. That tracks with what I've learned about Vikram Singhania, tech wunderkind. Why did you agree to this arrangement?" he countered. Aditi looked out across the garden. "My reasons were practical, too. I'm 32, focused on my career. My parents worried. The matchmaker said you were brilliant, established, and not interested in controlling your wife's ambitions." She smiled faintly. "Also, you apparently weren't expecting a traditional domestic partner. And you were satisfied with that assessment?" "It seemed sufficient." She hesitated. "But I wore this bracelet to our engagement because something in me needed its luck again. I never imagined it would lead back to you." The coincidence stretched between them, too significant to dismiss. "After you helped me that day," Aditi continued, "I actually won 3rd place with what we salvaged. That recognition got me a scholarship. Without it, I might never have studied abroad, might never have pursued water economics as my specialty." She looked down at the bracelet. "In many ways, that moment changed the direction of my life." Vikram felt a strange tightness in his chest. "My grandmother believed the bracelet had some sort of knowing, that it would find its way to where it was meant to be. Do you believe that?" Her question carried no judgment, only curiosity. "I've built my life on logic and planning. Coincidence is just pattern recognition in chaos," he replied, but his conviction wavered. And yet here we are," Aditi finished. 15 years later, arranged to marry through traditional channels despite our modern lives. The universe has a strange sense of humor. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Aditi's parents, calling them in for lunch. As they walked together toward the house, Vikram found himself noticing things he had overlooked before: the confident rhythm of Aditi's stride, the thoughtful pause before she spoke, the subtle determination in her expression. "This doesn't have to change anything," she said quietly as they reached the veranda. "We can proceed with our arrangement as planned, a practical partnership between compatible individuals." But something had already changed. A door long closed in Vikram's mind had cracked open, revealing glimpses of the person he had been before spreadsheets and strategic plans had defined his worth. Before he could respond, they were swept into the domestic choreography of family lunch. But the question lingered between them. Was this truly coincidence? Or was it the thread of fate pulling them back to a connection they both had forgotten? Destiny rewoven, the week before their wedding, catastrophe struck. Torrential monsoon rains caused devastating flooding throughout rural Maharashtra, where Vikram's company had recently established a technology education center. Reports of destruction poured in along with pleas for assistance from the local staff. "The wedding is in 5 days," his father reminded him during an emergency family meeting. "Surely your management team can handle this crisis." "They can," Vikram agreed. "But I should be there. This center was my personal project." His mother exchanged worried glances with his father. "The Sharma family has already arrived in Mumbai. Postponing now would cause considerable embarrassment." Vikram felt the familiar weight of expectation pressing down. The rational choice was clear: delegate the crisis management and proceed with the wedding as planned. Appearances mattered. Commitments mattered. The machinery of tradition and propriety was already in motion. His phone buzzed with a message from Aditi. "Heard about the flooding. Are you going?" Before he could respond, another message appeared. "Because if you are, I want to come too. My research group has emergency water purification systems we've been testing. This could help." Something shifted in Vikram's chest, a recognition that surprised him. Without overthinking, he called her. "You want to go to a disaster zone days before our wedding?" he asked when she answered. "People need help," she replied simply, "and clean water will be their first critical need. My team can deploy our systems within hours. Your parents will object." "Probably," she agreed. "Will yours?" "Definitely." He found himself smiling despite the seriousness of the situation. "It would disrupt everything." "Some things should be disrupted," Aditi said, and Vikram could hear the determination in her voice, the same passion that had drawn him to her 15 years ago. Besides, what better way to start a marriage than by doing something meaningful together? 24 hours later, against the vehement objections of both families, Vikram and Aditi arrived at the flood-ravaged district. The destruction was even worse than reported. Homes submerged, crops destroyed, infrastructure shattered. Aditi immediately began coordinating with her research team to set up water purification stations, while Vikram worked to restore communication systems and establish temporary shelters in the technology center, which stood on higher ground. They worked through the night, separate but somehow in sync, their complementary skills creating an unexpected harmony in chaos. By dawn, the first families had safe water and shelter. By the second day, a coordinated relief effort was underway. On what should have been their Mehendi ceremony evening, Vikram found Aditi sitting alone on the steps of the center, exhausted but satisfied as she watched children playing in a cleared area nearby. "Our parents are furious," he said, sitting beside her. "Apparently, we've disgraced both families and upended sacred traditions." "I know," she sighed, twisting the golden thread bracelet absently. "My mother called me selfish for putting strangers before family honor." Vikram watched the children, who had lost nearly everything but had found moments of joy in the simple games volunteers had organized. "What do you think? Was this selfish?" "No," Aditi said without hesitation. "This is exactly where we should be." She looked at him curiously. "Why did you really come here, Vikram? You could have sent your entire management team." The question penetrated defenses he hadn't realized were still standing. Because this center was built to make a difference, not just to be another corporate social responsibility checkbox. When I heard about the flooding, all I could think was that these people had trusted us to be part of their community. "And you couldn't delegate that trust?" Aditi finished, understanding in her eyes. "What about you? Water economics could be studied from comfortable research labs. Why fieldwork in disaster zones?" Aditi's gaze turned distant. "After the science competition, when my project failed and you helped me salvage it, I realized that theoretical solutions mean nothing if they don't work in the real world, where things fall apart unexpectedly. I wanted to create systems that could withstand chaos, that could help when everything else fails. In that moment, Vikram saw clearly what his grandmother must have seen: two souls with complementary purposes, separated by circumstance but connected by a golden thread of shared values. A commotion from the main building interrupted them. Vikram's parents and the Sharma family had arrived, their expressions a mixture of concern, anger, and confusion. "We're taking you both back to Mumbai immediately," Vikram's father announced. "The priests say we can still hold the ceremony if we perform additional pujas to compensate for the inauspicious timing." Aditi stood, unconsciously reaching for Vikram's hand. The gesture wasn't calculated, but instinctive, a partnership formed not through arrangement but through action and understanding. With respect, she addressed both families, her voice gentle but firm. "We're needed here for at least 3 more days. After that—" She glanced at Vikram, a question in her eyes. "After that," Vikram continued, "Aditi and I would like to be married here, in this community, in a simple ceremony. These people have become important to us. It feels right to include them." Shocked silence greeted their announcement, broken only by the distant sounds of relief efforts continuing around them. "This is not how things are done," Mrs. Sharma finally managed. "No," Aditi agreed, "but perhaps it's how they could be done." Vikram's mother stepped forward, studying them both with new eyes. "You've both changed," she observed. "Something is different." Vikram felt Aditi's hand in his, warm, steady, unexpectedly right. "Nothing changed," he replied. "We just remembered who we actually are." Later that evening, after hours of negotiation, a compromise was reached. The families would return to Mumbai to gather simplified wedding arrangements and bring them back to the flood-affected area. A small ceremony would take place in 3 days, followed by a proper reception in Mumbai when the immediate crisis had passed. As the makeshift relief camp settled for the night, Vikram and Aditi stood at the edge of the compound, watching the stars emerge above the still-flooded fields. "Did you ever wonder," Aditi asked softly, "what would have happened if we had met differently? Without the arrangements, without the families negotiating? I probably would have been too busy with quarterly projections to notice you," Vikram admitted with unexpected honesty. Aditi laughed. "And I would have been too immersed in research data to look up." She grew serious. "Do you think your grandmother was right about the thread knowing?" Vikram considered the question. The logical part of him wanted to dismiss the notion. Coincidences happen. Patterns emerge from randomness. But standing here, having found his way back to both Aditi and his own forgotten values, another explanation seemed equally plausible. "I think," he said carefully, "that some connections exist beneath the surface of what we can plan or control. Maybe the thread doesn't create destiny. It just reminds us of possibilities we've forgotten to see." Aditi's fingers interlaced with his more firmly. "Well, Mr. Singhania, I see quite a few possibilities ahead of us now." In the distance, a child's laughter rang out, a sound of resilience amid devastation. Like their unexpected journey together, it was both fragile and powerful, a thread of hope weaving through uncertainty. And as they turned to walk back toward the relief camp, Vikram realized that for the first time in years, he wasn't calculating risks or planning contingencies. He was simply following the thread, one step at a time, toward a future neither of them could predict, but both had somehow chosen. The golden thread bracelet caught the moonlight as they walked. Its ancient pattern a reminder that sometimes the most meaningful connections aren't forged by arrangement or design, but by recognizing what was waiting to be found all along.